Well, I don't want to show off too much or anything, but I am a bit of a movie star now. No, I'm just joking. I am part of a new movie, though, a very important new movie called Can't We Talk About This? You can find more details at can'twetalkaboutthis.com. But here, sit back and watch a 2-minute trailer about the film.
Ik voel me hier steeds onveiliger. Niet eens zozeer op straat.
I remember very well the day that Theo van Gogh was murdered, slaughtered, at broad daylight in the morning, in the streets of Amsterdam.
They shot him, went over his body, started stabbing him, and as he's stabbing him, Theo van Gogh is saying, "Can't we talk about this?"
This is a culture whose default position is you can't talk about it.
The media does not respect Islam. The media is afraid of Islam. It's a very different thing.
There is a movement trying to kill us, and you are sanctioning this movement by pretending it's not trying to kill us.
In Rotherham, in the UK, 1,400 girls were raped because the authorities didn't want to seem racist or Islamophobic.
Can we talk about this means we can disagree, but we don't use violence.
I mean, free speech is something everybody does, or everybody should do.
They don't want to talk about this. They will not talk about this. They want us to stop talking about this.
Wow, that's the movie can'twetalkaboutthis.com. I was being lighthearted and joking a few minutes ago, but as you can see, it is a deadly serious film. I was delighted and honored to be included. You can see a variety of people who you would recognize from our program, from Raheem Kassam to Mark Stein, Robert Spencer, a lot of the key voices warning about the Islamification of the West and the jihad. Well, joining us now via Skype is our friend who conceived and helped bring this movie to life. You know her well, my friend Pamela Geller. Great to see you, Pamela, and congratulations on the film.
Yes, the struggle was real. The film has been in the making really since Garland. After the attack on our free speech event where jihadis were trying to kill us because we violated the blasphemy laws under Islam, I was compelled to make a film and connect the dots for Americans and Canadians and Europeans who are misled, misinformed by a Sharia-compliant media. This movie tells the story of the bloody war on the freedom of speech. The title, Can't We Talk About This?, is the Dutch filmmaker's last words, Theo van Gogh, as he was being butchered by a devout Muslim in broad daylight on a public street in the Netherlands. And I thought, Can't We Talk About This? Is exactly, it sums up the problem rather nicely, that no, we can't talk about this. And yes, as you point out, some of the leading voices in defense of freedom, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, yourself, Bacheyor, Milo, Geert Wilders, Robert Spencer, Raheem Kassam, tell the story. We really start, even though we go a little bit into Salman Rushdie, which was the kickoff. The slaughter of Theo van Gogh was when it really came home, when that war really came to the West. Yeah. And it's a movie that needed to be made. It's interesting, we have an ad campaign going up. Actually, it went up on New York City Times Square billboards. It was really a struggle, and over 100 bus ads. And as you know, our ads, all ads, political and issue-related ads, were banned from New York City Transit, the first time in New York City history because of my ads. We call it the Geller ban. They did this, by the way, in DC, in Boston, in Chicago, in San Francisco, in Los Angeles, in Miami, I mean, in Denver, this is across the country. So how do we get the ads up? Well, a Muslim hate group wanted to run bus ads for a movie called The Muslims Are Coming, The Muslims Are Coming, and they weren't allowed because of the Geller ban. And they sued. And they won because it was a movie ad. So I ran a movie ad too.
Well, I mean, we just showed the images of that massive movie poster in Times Square. I mean, in Times Square, it's a very exciting place. Lots of Broadway shows, lots of Hollywood films were advertised in massive ads there. Tell me, I'm just curious, I don't want to spend too much time on it. I want to get back to the substance of the movie in a minute. But it's interesting. I'd like to know the reaction you received from whatever that billboard company was when you proposed to run this ad. Did you receive any pushback from them like you did from the city-owned bus company ads?
The process was harrowing. I'm not going to lie to you. We have 2 billboards up in Times Square. We're supposed to have 3. 1 dropped out. Originally, I mean, there are 2 ads. One is the actual photo of Theo laying in the street. We submitted it originally with a chalk outline. I didn't like it. It was a compromise. You know, Ezra, how I feel about compromise and any compromise between good and evil, evil profits. And I submitted the ad with Theo. I took out the knife. I took out blood. And they said no. And they said yes to the chalk outline. They said no. I went back with a pixelated image, and they finally said yes. Times Square, which is private, it's not New York City, it's not a government agency, I can't sue. They said no outright to any Theo, which is why I came up with the black and white ad, the figure laying on the ground. It's a sort of a stick figure with his head off, and there's blood splatter at the neck. It's sort of Hitchcockian, the old Bass movie ads, and that I got an approval on. It was turned down by 4 or 5 other companies. It really was a struggle, but I wasn't going to let it go. Look, this is the problem. And when I would talk to salespeople who really were completely clueless about this, I'd say, you do see that this movie is exactly what you're talking about to me, why I can't run it. Can't we talk about this? And it wasn't lost on them. They sort of got it. A light bulb didn't go off on their head. Maybe the dimmer switch on low, but it was something.
Yeah. Isn't that, the whole thing is, can't we talk about this? And the obvious answer is no, you can't. Even in the advertising of it. But Theo van Gogh, that's, was the grandson or descendant of Vincent van Gogh, the famous painter. In many ways, a liberal or leftist hero. I think he was gay personally, he was very left-wing, just like Pim Fortuyn, another gay politician in Holland, who's concerned about Islam. The thing is, in the liberal West, the answer, can't we talk about this, is how we come together and reason through things together. It's, for centuries we've talked things through. That's why we have parliaments. That's why we have courts to haggle things through. But in Islam, there's no debate. The doors are closed to that. There's the Quran, and then there are infidels, things that are haram. That's the whole thing. Theo van Gogh is saying, as he was being murdered, hey, can't we talk about this? That is a liberal Western response to a fascist theocratic attack, isn't it?
Yes, it absolutely is. And this is a story that has not been told. I mean, it goes into not just Theo van Gogh, but the Danish cartoons. And of course, Molly Norris, a name that most people don't know when she should be iconic in the publishing world. There is a concerted effort by international organizations to compel the U.S. and other Western countries to curtail the freedom of speech and to criticize and to criminalize criticism of Islam. So these are the leading voices, a small group, and it's, it's painfully small. And it's, how long have you been doing this, Ezra? How long have I been doing this? It's the same handful of people, these heroes of freedom that, in spite of the threat, in really great personal risk to our lives, we continue to do our work because we know what's at stake. And so much of what we have in this film has never been made public before. We set the record straight about our Garland free speech event, where we were not only targeted by jihadis, but the FBI was in on the planning, you would think, to thwart the attack. But no, they were at our event. One FBI agent was in the car behind the jihadis. When they got out, the FBI agent got out and started filming them before they started shooting.
Yeah.
Once they started shooting, the FBI agent got back into his car and was actually pulled over and arrested because local law enforcement thought that he was part of the attack.
Huh.
The question is, if the FBI knew about this attack, which they did, they were in on the planning. We saw the transcripts with the ringleader, Eric Jamal Hendricks, when he was indicted as being an ISIS recruiter. Why didn't they have a SWAT team in Garland? Why didn't they have a team in place? It was our SWAT team that took out the jihadis.
Yeah,
This is a story Hollywood will never tell. The media will never tll this story.
Well, we will see the story, and I just want to remind our viewers, you can get it at can'twetalkaboutthis.com. You know, you make a point, I mean, you've said a lot of interesting things there. The fact that I personally know or have interviewed almost every name that was on the screen there, Mark Stein, Raheem Kassam, Robert Spencer, etc. I think only Bat Yeor and maybe one other I haven't met yet. That is sad in a way, that it is such a small circle, but people either don't want the conflict, don't want the fight, don't want the risk, or don't want the social and political marginalization. To say what a decade ago would have been obvious, today you can't even say it. And as you point out, there's risk to life as well. I got a question for you, and I should probably have asked you this off screen, but I'll put it to you now. To watch the whole film is a few dollars on Vimeo, and I understand it's a feature-length style film, quality film. There's no such thing as a free lunch, and I'm obviously going to immediately go on can'twetalkaboutthis.com and pay the $4.99 or whatever and watch it. But I wonder, and maybe we should talk about this later, if we can crowdfund enough money that we pay the cost of the movie and liberate this film for everyone to see for free. And I know this is probably an inappropriate forum to just broach this to you on TV, but maybe we can have that conversation later, because, you know, I'm going to watch this film and I know I'm going to like it and value it, but if we could muster the dough to unlock this film and maybe get 1 million people to watch it, that might be something worth considering. I shouldn't have thrown this at you, but it's the first thing that came to mind. We got to get as many people talking about this as possible. You and I can talk about that later.
Listen, Ezra, from your mouth to Hashem's ears, the film was expensive. It was over 2 years. I didn't put it together. This is not a YouTube clip. We have a director. We have a film production company. It was upwards of $150,000 to $200,000. I mean, we went to Europe. We filmed in Europe. Plus the billboards.
Yeah.
And the bus ads was another $125,000.
$125,000, that's expensive.
And we did it for exactly the point that you make, was to get it to as many, look, the media is never going to talk about this film, Ezra. To get it to as many eyes as possible. So I am so open. We should talk off camera. I would love to do something. It's been enormously expensive, but it wasn't a choice.
Yeah.
It was
no, I know.
Well, it had to be done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you are one of the most motivated people, because you can't not talk about it. I know you well enough to know that you can't. You know, can't we talk about this? You feel compelled to talk about it, as do I. Even though we both had our own forms of threats, and in your case, they came to kill you. You were talking about the FBI and that terrorist. You're talking about your Draw Mohammed cartoon event in Garland, Texas. We had a reporter there, David Menzies, who was inside the room when the shooting happened. Well, listen, I salute you and admire you, and I can only imagine between the professional quality of the film and the billboards, we're probably talking close to $1 million in cost. Let's have a private conversation, you and I, because I need to learn more about this idea, but I just know before I even watch it that this film is so important that we need to get as many people watching it as possible. Pamela, you have our affection and our support and our gratitude, and thanks for giving me a small role in the film too. I remember when your cameraman came to town. Last word to you, Pamela, what do you hope happens with this film? What reaction do you want? Is there someone you wish would watch it? I mean, wouldn't it be great if Donald Trump himself watched it? Who do you want this film to be seen by?
I want this film to be seen by the average American who knows, like Helen Keller, they're like Helen Keller and Someone Moved the Furniture, that something's wrong. They have been misinformed. I mean, ideally, I would like to, if I might crib the word from the left, I'd like the American people to be woke.
Yeah.
Woke, that would, if I had to hashtag, the hashtag would be woke to this issue, because a free society is contingent upon the freedom of speech. And without the freedom of speech, peaceful men will have to resort to violence. This is critical. This, for me, of everything, is the #1 battle that we fight. Because listen, my ideas are better, but shouting into the wilderness or talking to myself is not freedom of speech. And they are shutting us down on social media. They are shutting us down. As you know, PayPal suspended my account. Pinterest has banned my links. Google has scrubbed me from, and not just me, but all Sharia and jihad related search results that are not flattering, that are critical of jihad, Islam, and Sharia from Google ad results. It goes on and on and on. Chipping away. It's coming down fast, and people are not even aware of it. This movie is a wake-up call.
Well, we're so grateful to you. We remain your supporters and friends and fans. Let's you and I have a conversation. I mean, we are of modest means, but our people love to crowdfund worthy projects. Let's you and I talk about, I mean, I'm going to pay my $4.99. I'm going to go on Can't We Talk About This? I'm going to pay my money and watch it. But I know there's some people that might be a barrier to. And you and I can talk about this offline. But it's great to see you again. And thanks for including me in the project. And I tell you, having a billboard in Times Square, that's pretty exciting, and I salute your courage. Great to see you again, my friend.
Thank you so much, Ezra.
All right, it's nice to have you. There you have it. Go to can'twetalkaboutthis.com. Hey, if you like that, sign up for my show every day. Click on the screen to subscribe.